I want to welcome everybody to the Daily Cheat Sheet, and I'm a little smirky because of the stories that we have coming up, but I encourage everybody to please go follow us. Hit that follow button, subscribe. That way the episode comes automatically to you, and very helpful for us. It might be more helpful for you. And I say that because, I love people's comments on True Social Men, and they look to us, a lot of people do, for all things foreign and all things domestic. They're not getting the actual news out there, and I love that we get to do that. So there you are.
Everyone I know that has subscribed absolutely loves it. We get nothing but positive feedback. Tell a friend, tell a family member. It's the best way to see this show grow.
Tell your lover. And whether you're straight or gay, we're equal
opportunity.
That's exactly right. Okay, welcome to the Daily Cheat Sheet. And here with the dude is Golan is flying to Israel right now to shoot a pilot, which is awesome, a television pilot. So praying for him and his safety as he heads out there, and praying the pilot goes amazing. Man, so right off the bat, they just indicted John Bolton.
We saw that coming.
Yeah, we saw that coming a million miles away. And
that mustache did not protect him.
Yosemite Sam, who was all over Trump for, classified documents.
I got a question for Mr. Bolton. Sir, I mustache you a question. Was it worth it? You had a position in the government. Trump said why he put you in, because you were like the loose cannon, the crazy guy. When he goes into meetings, that Bolton guy is here. He wants to bomb everything. It was great. But then, you got out and you did nothing but trash talk the president.
Got fired. 100%. And I don't blame Donald Trump for hiring him, because I'm one of those people, when he hired him, I thought the same exact reason. Dennis Miller used to have a joke. Dennis Miller's fantastic. And one of my favorite jokes he always used to say was, he would talk about Dick Cheney. And he would say, whenever like Dick Cheney would be asked, would you ever use the nuclear, but would you ever go nuclear? He would pause and say, that's a good question. And you always sort of need some hawkish person. But right now, Trump has the perfect hawkish person in a guy like Rubio, because Rubio is a dove and a hawk mixed together. And so it's like he sort of found that perfect Secretary of State.
Well, you have some secretaries of state that are full of shit. Look at
Hillary Clinton,
Lammy in the UK, David Lammy, I think his name is.
But look here, no idea what he's doing. Kerry and Hillary Clinton.
John Kerry is the best example of someone who absolutely did not know what he was talking about. Yet he was out there pontificating as if he was the Pope, as if every word he was saying was just gospel. Can't argue with it. And everything he said was wrong. He said that there would be no peace in the Middle East until the Palestinians were given another state, in addition to Jordan, which they already have, or the 52 Muslim countries that they already have. He was like, no, nobody's going to want to have anything to do with Israel. First a state, then normalization. And Trump term one, flipped that on his head. He got normalization from a whole bunch of countries without giving the Palestinians a state. They were over the Palestinian scam. Here's the big thing that the Arabs know. They know that this entire Palestinian narrative of a people called Palestinians was made up in the 60s. And they went along with it because it served them well. Whenever there was unrest, economic unrest, or some other unrest at home, they would just bring up the Palestinian things, which is what Turkey's doing with Erdogan all the time. The economy is shit. His lira is worthless. He brings up the Palestinians all the time. They used it. But most of the Arab countries that want to move forward, they want to have success and prosperity for their people. They're moving beyond the Palestinian narrative. They don't need that anymore. What they do need is peace with Israel, because they realize that oil is not going to be the thing it was in 20 years. And they need to move to technology. And who's at the forefront? America and Israel. So they're making peace.
Listen, I think that was brilliantly said. And I also think you really summed up so quickly and so precisely, exactly on point. So good on you, my friend. Today you are the professor, and you're doing your best.
It's a big shoes to fill. I can't possibly fill them. We miss Golan.
We do miss Golan. We always miss Golan. And But I want to move on a little bit, though, because just to your point, but I don't want to get into this too much because I want to discuss this a little bit more later. But Keir Starmer came out yesterday and said, the putz from the guy that's dead from the neck up in the UK, their prime minister, said the two-state solution talking is what brought peace. I mean, like how out of your mind, out of all reality do you have to be for that? Well, it's doubling down on stupid. So.
Well, we talked about this yesterday, I believe it was, that, and many, many other times, is that the left never acknowledges that their policies fail. They don't, even when they are failing in front of
It's a
your
great
face.
point.
So what he's doing is he's doubling down on his stupid policy, which actually prolonged the war and got more Palestinians and a few more Israelis killed. But the Israelis, for the most part, when they went into Gaza City, they lost almost no soldiers. They've gotten so good at waging war that they are barely losing soldiers when they go into these rat-infested neighborhoods that are just crawling with tunnels and snipers. And the Israelis are really good. If they see something in a building, they're not sending the boys in like they did in the beginning of the war. In the beginning of the war, they would send a unit of like 10, 15 guys into a building, and the Hamas guys knew that, and they would blow up the entire building. Now Israel's doing that. When they see there's a sniper in a building, they send the drone in to see what's going on. If it's too risky, they just blow up the whole building. We're not losing more troops to save your buildings. Your buildings are gone. That's why 3/4 of Gaza is flattened. Is because these guys were using it.
I really I was thinking naming the show tonight. I want people to write down 1,000 times on the blackboard, Hamas is evil, Islamic Jihad is evil. And I think that's what I'm going to title the show, because I really think people that should be your punishment, one of your punishments for being on the wrong side. What's the statistic you have for black crime in America?
You're 37 times more likely to be assaulted, injured, or killed by a black man in America than a black man in America is likely to be killed, injured, or assaulted by a white person in America.
But what's the actual crime statistics as far as the amount of crime they commit to percentage of the general population?
Oh, they make up 3%. Black males make up 3% of the population. They commit 51%. I believe it's 51% of homicides.
Okay. And then add on to that the other crimes. The reason I bring this up is in the other thing you cannot make up story. Letitia James' other niece, I'm not
Is she
kidding,
harboring
man.
this one too?
She's harboring this one too in an other house, and is very big on fans only, or is it OnlyFans? I can never remember what it is, but who's think about this. Her family in itself, because you have Letitia James, who, other than mortgage fraud at this point, has been harboring 2 felons, and I still, for the life of me,
Wait, is the OnlyFans one a felon too?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. They're going to look back at the damage that OnlyFans has done to a generation of kids,
but that's a different story.
It is a different story, but you have this platform that is basically telling any young girl that they don't have to go get an education, they don't have to work hard. All they have to do is stick cucumbers up their ho-ho and have people pay them for it. It's ridiculous. And who's paying for all this stuff?
We've had this discussion.
Which losers are paying for these people?
We both have had this discussion so many times, because the amount of money these people are making, and you and I, and you especially, who are in the tech in the tech business, are still shocked by these numbers. Like, even these numbers to you are extremely shocking. But I want to get back to Letitia James, because you can't make this up. You literally can't make this up, man. She's going to be a convicted felon. She should be right now being, having the handcuffs on for harboring a felon. If you or I were harboring one felon, we'd have handcuffs on. Two men, there would be no bail.
And she is supposed to be the Attorney General for New York, so the one who upholds the law. So what does that mean for average citizens when they look at the leader of that aspect of government themselves flouts the law? What happens to the whole nobody's above the law? That was her big statement. Go after her, lock her up, and let's move on. Let's get back to sanity. I mean, these George Soros-backed DAs are absolutely the worst. And I don't know how anyone defends this stuff.
See, I wonder, you just raised one of your really good points without realizing you raised your really good points, which is getting back to sanity, which is something we talk about a lot, which is, something where we have two parties that are actually healthy in this country. And when you look at somebody like John Fetterman, right? And John Fetterman is going to be primaried for one reason. He was pro-Israel. He votes with Democrats all the time.
Let's
And
not
yes,
even, it's not, he wasn't pro-Israel.
he was
John
pro-humanity.
Fetterman first of all, he's not Jewish. He's a senator from
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, which is a hardworking state. He comes from a blue collar family and he has principles. And that was it. It wasn't because he has any sort of affiliation or affinity for Israel. He just saw October 7th as an unmitigated disaster that was committed by the Palestinians on the Israelis, and the Israelis have a right to crush them. We believe that in every scenario. You know, if there's any injustice where there's a group that is subjugating and trying to commit genocide against another group, we back them. You know, we back the ones that are being attacked unjustly, and the Israelis were being attacked by genocidal jihadis, colonizing genocidal jihadis. That's what they are. Let's call it what it is. And John Fetterman didn't side with the Republicans. He didn't side with Israel. He sided with what was right, what was morally correct in his heart. And God bless that man for that.
But listen, you're 100% correct. And I want to get back to that point, though, of because we've really lost our way with that, is just this idea of getting back to, because most people, we have free will.
It would be great. It would be healthy for this country if we had a healthy two-party system, meaning that the Democrats would be honest and doing hard work for average citizens. They might be a little bit more liberal, leaning liberal, and the Republicans would be more conservative and leaning more right. That would be great. You'd have two parties, and no matter which party is in place, you would know in your heart that both parties love this country and want the best for the country. They just have different ideas on how to get there. We are not there anymore. We've lost that. Now you have one party that hates this country and wants to burn it down. And you have another party that loves this country and wants to secure its borders. It is that clear. It is that simple. And everything they're talking about, like we're getting Obama talking about Prop 50 in California, where California wants to further gerrymander the state by carving it up.
$250 million, the cost of it. Well, today, that Gavin Newsom, I think it's really important, has vetoed a bill that would require the state to develop a fire mitigation strategy.
Right. So he's spending $250 million to gerrymander the state, meaning to steal votes and give it to the Democrats. But he won't spend a dime to do forest fire mitigation to save our cities, right? It may not even be forest. It might be urban zones. But he won't do that. He won't spend the money building the reservoirs. They did a referendum 10 years ago to raise money for reservoirs. Not one reservoir was built. He spent billions of dollars building a high-speed rail. They built a mile of it. Nothing. It's a joke. I mean, it is absolute joke. We have the highest taxes in the country, highest crime rates in the country, the worst education in the country. You know, you name it. We're number one for everything that is terrible with a state. And he still has the gall to go out there online and pretend as if what he's doing is right. And Obama on X is just lying away about this Prop 50 thing. There are some states that have zero Republican representation. And if California gets this through, you're going to need something like 230,000 votes to get a representative on the Democrat side into Congress. And you're going to need something to the tune of 3+ million votes to get a Republican into the same position from this state. So
I'm not going to fact check you. I trust your numbers. They're usually fairly accurate. So I will go with trusting you on that. Before I forget, I wanted to say something very important. I can't stand Nick Fuentes. He looks like a cartoon avatar, but Spotify just booted him from it. And that I am against. And I think you would share the same thing. I am not pro people getting banned off of platforms. I don't want people platformed always or replatformed by other bigger groups, but I do not think somebody should be banned off a platform no matter how ludicrous it is what they say, man. That's just my humble opinion.
I agree with that. You know, there are some people.
I've been booted, and I know what it's like to be booted for nothing.
Yeah, so I agree that nobody should be booted off of social media platforms. I do hold the hosts responsible. So if we were to have some fire starter on our podcast and people got mad at me, I would take responsibility for that. And the same goes for Joe Rogan. You know, if he has on John Mearsheimer or some other lunatic who's just making. There was another guy on this ex CIA guy who was on the other day
Yeah, we
talking
spoke about
about
him
Christian
yesterday.
villages in Israel, which is completely detached from reality. The Christian population in Israel has grown since 1948 by leaps and bounds, but it has plummeted in every single Muslim country, especially in the Palestinian controlled areas. So when he has on some Palestinian priest, it's important to note that this guy, the only way he could remain a priest in the Palestinian areas, is if he tows the party line, if he repeats their talking points. If he actually spoke out as a true Christian, he'd be killed in a week. That population in Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus, has gone from, I think it was 60% Christian, it's down to 12% today.
Yeah, and
And
Matt
that's
Gates,
not under Israel.
and just so you
That
know,
is under the Palestinian Authority.
and just so you know, people like Matt Gates are repeating this lie. This is akin to blood libel. I know you hate using that word, but this is akin to blood libel. And Mike Huckabee's response was, "Come to Israel, see what it's actually like."
When Matt Gates puts that out, we've been responding from our official daily cheat sheet X account to him with a meme. And it basically says Christian population in some of the Middle Eastern areas. Lebanon has gone from 466,000 to 405,000. So it used to be majority, 53% Christian. Now it's 32%. Syria used to be 10% Christian. Now it's 2%. Iraq used to be 20%. Now it's 0.5%. Bethlehem used to be 550,000 Christians in Bethlehem. And now it's down to, I believe, 0.5, which is 175,000. So they've lost. Gaza Strip, same thing. Used to be 46% Christian. Now it's 12%. Israel used to be 2% with 34,000. It's still around 2% with 185,000. So the population in Israel has grown by leaps and bounds, but none of these other areas has it grown. And those facts don't lie. When Matt Gates, posts some nonsense about a Christian or a Catholic church that got bombed, but first of all, it's a war. But two, those stats, the numbers don't lie. Go refute that. Go look it up. You can't.
No, you listen. I think you're 100% right, but I just want to close up two things because you didn't actually answer. And with your excitement today, I love it. Go to the gym more often right before you get to the show.
Oh my God, CrossFit kills me.
Do your CrossFit. We both agree Nick Fuentes should not be kicked off of Spotify. And secondly, John Fetterman will get primaried, and I think he really should change parties. Not because and here's the thing, man, he doesn't need to agree with everything the Republicans say. It doesn't, we're a big tent right now. Come on, John Fetterman, join the party, run as a Republican, and win that Senate seat. And you'll be, America needs John Fetterman, man.
He's proven to be a national hero. He stood up to his party and he stood up to the lunatics to stand on the right side of history, to stand up for what was right. So I don't know if he ever will join the Republicans. For some people, that's just a stretch too far, but it wasn't for Tulsi and it wasn't for RFK.
It wasn't for a lot of people. Look,
a lot of people. I think Scott Bessent, I think a lot of the guys in the administration, even Trump himself, they were once Democrats. So it is possible. I hope he does it. I just don't know. I might just be a bridge too far.
We'll see if he's an ideologue. I mean, I don't know. I can't stand watching. It disgusts me to watch what they're doing to him and what they're going to do to him. Remember, this is a guy in the beginning, and I was way off on him. And I apologize immediately for, saying things I probably should not have said. But, obviously he had the depression issues and so many things. And these are the things they're going after him about, that they've gone after him about, that he's crazy. He must not be on his medications because of his views. I mean, the sickness that goes on, and you have somebody today like Chuck Schumer who says, first of all, we're not going to support the military as long as the government's shutting down, right? So he's denying our armed services getting paid, and he's calling for everybody to go to this all kings, this no kings rally. Think about this for a second. The leader of the Democrat Party is calling for everybody in America to go to something called no kings, because it's in the implication that Trump is being a king. He is the furthest thing from being a king. I don't even this message that they put out, man, and they're losing because of it. So part of me wants them to keep on talking about this crap, because America is like, what the hell are you talking about? 175,000 people signed up to be ICE agents. Obviously, their messaging is off, but they're so stuck, man, that they keep on doubling down and tripling down on this insanity.
It's all they got. This is all they got. You know, it would be amazing. I would love it if the Democratic Party would come back to their senses and say, you know, just talk the way Bill Clinton or even Obama, the deporter in chief, spoke. But Clinton, let's go back to that Democratic Party where they believed in illegals should not be getting free healthcare. Illegals should be deported. There's a line of people that are waiting 20 years to become citizens that have applied the correct way. You don't get to skip that line. I had a girlfriend that I was dating many years ago. She applied when she was a baby. Her parents came to this country. She applied with them. When she turned 18, they still hadn't gotten their whatever, the visas or green cards or whatever you get. And at 18, they said, oh, now you're an adult. You got to start the process over. That's the trajectory. That is the pathway that most people have to go through when they're applying legally. And then you have these people that come illegally, and you want to grant them citizenship and rights immediately, and not to the people that have been waiting for 20 years. Doesn't make any sense. And I don't think we need to fix the immigration system. When the Democrats talk about fixing the immigration system, their idea there is to just fast track everybody, hire more judges and fast track people into this country. We need more scrutiny. We need to be a little bit tighter about who we're letting in. We're not obligated to let anybody in. It's a privilege, and we want the best and brightest and people that will contribute. That's the way it used to be.
Listen,
Until I think was it FDR who changed it and went with this whole thing where we're just going to bring in the poorest and neediest and try to have our social system carry them. It's unsustainable.
Listen, I think you're 100% correct. I actually think that's a fantastic point, because we actually have a system in place. As you can see right now, it's working. The system's actually working in place. And, so today, Trump had an extremely funny line. They were talking about medications and affordability. And he said, why are medications some names so hard to pronounce? And I just thought it was such a great Trump line during a press conference. It was like a very hard drug to say its name. But he's also the IVF stuff. And this is something else. It's like he's taking on all the causes, the so-called causes of the left, and he's fighting for people to have IVF and make it affordable for women across America to be able to have children. And good for him. This is another one of those things that Republicans for so many years would talk about children and this and that. He's actually making it affordable and trying to make it affordable for people to have these treatments, because they're astronomically expensive. And if somebody wants a kid, I get it that it's not right, but if we could make that affordable and possible, we should be doing everything in our power to do that.
See, the IVF thing is great because during the campaign, the Democrats kept on saying that he's going to take that away. He's going to make it illegal. And I forgot who it was. Was it, I think it was Tim Walz who claimed that he used IVF and that Trump was going to take it away. And he didn't use IVF. And Trump's not taking it away. And
Well, he had a lot of claims
affordable.
that were incorrect, by the way. Like Tim Walz had a lot. I mean, that's what he'll be remembered for. Can you imagine being remembered for like the things that you said that were not true? What he was in. Where was he? He was during Tiananmen Square. He was at Tiananmen Square as the tanks were rolling over. He lied about his military stuff. The guy. I mean, it just. But I think it's incredible that Trump is doing this. And it's, again, this is where I can't stand the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world and all these so-called America-only people, because he's doing all of these different things at the same time. I don't know when he sleeps, man. I really do not know how he does it. I don't know how you travel to the Middle East, 13,000 miles total back and forth in a 3-day period. Do everything, meet with Melee, come out and say to Melee, to the people of Argentina, if you don't vote him in, you're going to not get this $20 billion. Charlie Kirk's Presidential Medal of Freedom meeting with his family afterwards, and on and on and on and on. You, who's in amazing health, would be dead at this point.
Yeah. And his team, it's not just him. His team is taking on so much. I mean, we talked for a minute ago about California's Prop 50 and the gerrymandering they're trying to do to steal votes. But there's also a gerrymandering case in front of the Supreme Court where in 2002, Louisiana adopted a new congressional map in the wake of the 2020 census that 1/3 of the state's population is black, but the 2022 map had only one majority black district out of the 6 districts allotted by the state. What the Supreme Court is looking at is they're going to strike down at the 2024 congressional map that groups of voters have challenged because it's unconstitutional to base these gerrymandering is how you do the maps for voting based on race, which is a violation of our Civil Rights Act, 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause. So the Supreme Court is probably going to rule on this, and that's going to fix a lot of this race-based gerrymandering, which is absolutely unconstitutional. You should not be able to draw maps that suck in more people of any race. I don't care what race it is. It should be based on the public. We are all Americans. The left loves to say that diversity is our strength, and that is an absolute lie. Absolute lie. Diversity is not our strength. Unity is our strength. If we are from all different backgrounds, but we identify as Americans and we are proud Americans, that is our strength. When you're diverse and you have all these people that have different beliefs and they don't believe in America, or they believe in other countries, or they're pledging allegiance to their homes, their countries back home, like Somalia, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib with her Palestine stuff and all that other stuff, that is not our strength. That is not what makes us stronger. So I'm glad that they're dealing with this stuff. And I know I just went off on a little bit of a tangent, but I really wanted to get that in before we moved on from the
You're jacked up
race
today. I
stuff.
don't care. Take your time.
I'm fired up. We're going.
What does it matter? We're touching
This
as
is
many
what
stories. We're touching as
burning
many stories.
10,000 calories first thing in the morning will do for you.
Oh, by the way, I really do need to thank whoever was on Truth that gave me the suggestion of giving, I might have brought this up, but giving my dog yogurt instead of peanut butter. My dog's lost 3 pounds because of it. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Goes to the bathroom a little bit more. I have to take him on a few more walks, but I need him to be a little healthier. So whoever gave me that advice of the yogurt, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I want to move on though a little bit because I have to say this, and I brought this up before. There is nobody I know that's more up to date and more pro technology than Mend. There's nobody. I have never met somebody not scared of anything. He's not scared of to design something, to create things, you never have been. I mean, you're always, and I bring up that story with Facebook when you're like, dude, go on Facebook, not MySpace. And I was like, oh, what's this Facebook thing? You're always been ahead of the curve. Yet with ChatGPT and AI, you're extremely skeptical and you're extremely frightened. And there's this new story which should really just scare everybody. We have a general, top U.S. Army general, says he's letting ChatGPT make military decisions. Now, here's the thing. If you are doing this, I'm not sure exactly why you would say this out loud, and I would hope he's getting a call from Mr. Hegseth immediately, Mend, just for sheer stupidity of openly saying this, of his AI open mouth on this. But this is very dangerous.
It depends how he's using it, but yes, so there's different sides to this. One is we've seen ChatGPT and Grok go off the rails. So if you're just completely relying on it, there's 2 ways to use AI right now. There's one way, which the boomers are doing, where they ask it a question and it gives you an answer. It's kind of like the old Google search way. And then there's the advanced way where people are doing full-on prompts. And you could put together a 30-page prompt to AI. And basically a prompt is a series of questions and guidance and, guardrails and things that you're putting into the thing so that it knows exactly what you want And then, the more you could restrict it, the better the results you're going to get out of it. We've seen militaries use AI. The Israelis have a version of some sort of AI that they use to figure out which bad guys are connected to which other bad guys. So
But
they have this
that's
thing.
very different. You're talking about
It's
something
very
that's
different. And
pretty
the
big.
and the main difference is that they're not using off the shelf, open source, whatever, ChatGPT. That one is, where's that data going? Where's it stored? You know that it's on a server somewhere. A lot of people don't even realize this, that your ChatGPT request history is logged, just like your Google searches are logged. So who has access to that? If you're going to go in there and say, oh, we're thinking about invading Venezuela, there might be a Venezuelan or a Russian or an Iranian or a Chinese spy that has weaseled into ChatGPT's database, and they could see that, and then they'll know ahead of time what you're about to do. So I'm hoping that this guy was relying on some sort of internal military ChatGPT type thing that he's using that's not just open to the public. And the other thing is, you could use it to give you data, but then you have to double, triple check it. As we've seen, it's gotten a lot of things wrong over the years. So it's a weird statement for him to make publicly.
Yeah, well said. And I want to move on though, because this goes to prove what everybody was saying, and I'm sure the numbers will go even lower. A new survey shows how gender madness, non-binary was just a fad pushed by radical activists. Listen to this. Some of the studies show a drop from 9% to 3%, while others have it figuring dropping from 7% to 3.6%. So think about how many people uh, got harmed in the name of Mengelian science, and it were like test subjects of the left by going and getting these hormone blockers, by going and get these surgeries. I mean, think about that. I mean, think about how many people have been harmed. And nobody talks about that. Cheryl Hines had enough guts to go on The View and be like onslaught of those, dead from the neck up people about Bobby Kennedy Jr. Now, I disagree with Bobby Kennedy Jr. sometimes, but that doesn't mean I'm going to attack him like they are, like they're attacking her. But nobody was willing to attack what we all knew was crazy. And what was crazy was telling people, you feel like a boy and you look like, and you whatever the hell it was, and people are saying, well, go ahead with the surgery. What the hell were we doing? People are going to look back at that time, man, and they will be frightened.
I am just looking forward to the day when some giant attorneys start taking up these lawsuits and they bankrupt these doctors that did
It's a
that
great
stuff,
point.
and bankrupt the hospitals that did it. I mean, you talk about child abuse, that is a clear example of it. The stuff that they were pushing and the stats of it falling now is proof that it wasn't organic and it wasn't from the ground up. It wasn't the kids saying this. These were adults pushing kids to do it. And now that you've pulled back on the adults that are willing to do it because of the ramifications and repercussions that they might face, all of a sudden it's petering out. It's not there. We also saw there were other
No pun intended in this case, but go on.
Yeah, there were other indicators. Abigail Schreier wrote a great book on this stuff, but she said that if this was natural and organic, you'd see the same growth rate across the nation, across the world, really. And we didn't see that. It was clusters. So Santa Monica, California had super spiked, in this one area where it was like a social contagion, where the teachers were pushing it on the kids, and then the kids were all feeling peer pressure to all identify as monkeys or trans or God knows what. So now that that's not happening, it'll fall back to its natural levels. When we were kids, there were little kids that we played with that would horse around, girls that would, join our little clubhouse or whatever, and they were like tomboys. They would roughhouse
You
with the
didn't have a
boys.
lot of girls hanging out with you in your neighborhood when you were younger. I mean,
Back then, they were tomboys,
yeah,
and we loved
I,
those tomboys.
I know
And
where you grew up.
I didn't know many guys that dressed as girls, but if you had some of those, fine. Some of them might grow out of it, some of them might not. But the bottom line is, you get to make that choice to make a life-altering decision when you're 21, not when you're 7.
Oh, you're 100% correct. And I actually I'm really happy you brought that up. I mean, maybe you heard it somewhere, it doesn't matter, but I'm really happy you brought up that lawsuit thing. I'm extremely happy you brought up that lawsuit thing, because I do think there's going to be a reckoning of lawsuits against the pharmaceutical companies because of this, against the hospitals that allowed this to happen. 100% amazing point. I want to move on, though, to Virginia. This Winsome Sears race is getting extremely close. We brought it up yesterday, the day before. Go donate to Winsome Sears. What's the name of her?
Give me a
You had it
second.
off the tip of your tongue the other day. You were
That
like,
wasn't that the actual website.
oh, that's good. Good job there. You gave people a bad place to go and donate money to.
Winsome Sears. So it's Winsome Governor. WinsomeForGovernor.com.
So go donate.
WINSOME for governor.
Yeah, go there and donate. You have Obama coming out today and supporting Spencer, right? Is that her name? Abigail Spencer? And or am I getting confused with New Jersey, the other one that's lying about everything? But either way, he comes out and he supports her. And I'm thinking to myself, I get it. You're a Democrat. But what this woman has done, Winsome Sears has quite the track record, quite the credentials to be the governor of Virginia. And it's really a pathetic and sad day. And it goes to show you, I mean, Black people should be looking at Obama right now. And yeah, sometimes you do need to support your own. That's how people get higher. That's how life works. And it's extremely important for somebody like Winsome Sears to become governor, not because she's Black, but because she's qualified. Okay. But at the same time, it shows you who Obama really is, that he's not going for the most qualified candidate who happens to be Black, but he's going for the least qualified candidate who happens to be white, man.
Yeah, I mean, she's a successful story. She happens to be Black. She's very capable. She made an excellent lieutenant governor. She's an immigrant from Jamaica who rose to, top levels of government. You would think people would support
Served the country.
What's that?
I think she served our country too.
She may have. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, she was in the United States Marine. She was an electrician in the United States Marine from 1983 to 1986.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Amazing. She directed a Salvation Army homeless shelter. I mean, she's done stuff for the community. She served the country, and
she's more qualified to be. She is more qualified to be president than Obama was. Just for a little perspective.
For sure. I mean, Obama. I wish that guy would just go away and stop meddling in things, because every single point he does, and every time he talks, it's the wrong side of whatever it is we believe in. He's vile. It's sad to say this. He spoke really well. I had high hopes for Obama when he first ran for president.
I did,
and it's terrible.
If you knew my conversation with Alan Dershowitz, I mean, it's a true story. I went. Somebody brought me to hear Alan Dershowitz speak, and Alan Dershowitz and I went to the same high schools, different years, obviously, about 40 years apart. And I said to him, after the speech, because he was talking about Obama, and he said, just give it some time. And I said, it's okay. I don't really need to give it some time. And I said, how did two people that went to the same exact schools grow up with such different, views of life that he shares with us now? And it had to do with academia. It had to do with the university systems, that he too got indoctrinated at the university systems and probably was doing a lot of the indoctrinating himself.
Who, Dershowitz?
Yeah, Dershowitz.
Yeah, he got pissed at Obama because he said Obama lied to him.
Yeah, he was he was used as, my best friend,
Jew.
Yeah, my best friend is Jewish, so I could do this. That Alan Dershowitz was the best friend. But yeah, so he was but my bigger point is, like, how did, like, two people that went to the same exact thing, and again, somebody like Obama, it's sort of fascinating when you think about it, because it's not like his endorsements really do much. So I don't exactly get the it's sort of like the kiss of death when you get endorsed by Obama. So maybe this is a good thing for Winsome Sears.
Yeah. It's just very telling that Obama did not come out and endorse her. You talk about a successful Black woman. Obama's all about this race thing. Everything about with him is race. Won't come out and support her. Who's he supporting? Some crazy woke liberal white lady, right? It's a white lady that's running against her.
Yeah.
Tells you everything you need to know.
I think it's really funny, by the way, for people listening to the show. Like, we'll talk about topics sometimes, and I know we're not always versed. Yes, we are way more versed when it comes to our foreign policy sometimes than our domestic policy. So I don't want to say that's fully true. It's just
Yeah,
with the
working on all
wonkiness.
fronts.
We,
We
we,
fire on
we
all cylinders here.
yeah, 100%. And when the professor's not here, we don't have our ombudsman. We don't have our fact checker. He's flying to Israel. I wanted him because now with Starlink, he could actually do the show from the air. So you know what? I'm a little disappointed in Golan right now that he's not using Starlink as he's on his way to Israel to do the podcast. But speaking of Israel, you can't make this up. And Trump today said basically, or else with Hamas, we'll go in there. And just so people understand, when he said where, he wasn't implying American troops. And please don't get the wrong idea when he says where, like as like America and Israel is going to be going in
Yeah.
and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So far, they've broken the ceasefire in so many ways, and in ways that you can't cover up. Trump was trying to keep this quiet, right, in his answers of the last couple days, man. But as you're seeing what Hamas is doing on the street with bludgeoning people, mass shootings, I'm sure mass rapes of men and women are going on,
Mass executions of
mass
anyone that they
executions.
disagree with.
Right. And
And
they haven't returned all the bodies yet. They haven't returned a majority of the bodies yet. So they've broken every part of the ceasefire. And he realizes something's going to need to be done. And you actually brought up something when we were talking before that I had not thought about of what the plan for Gaza actually might be. I'm not sure it could be implemented, but I think it's actually a great idea if that's what they're thinking.
yeah, so I forget the gentleman's name who was on the Call Me Back podcast with Dan Senor, but he basically said that um, the Israelis know that Hamas is not going to disarm. They're not going to give up their power. What they would love, what Hamas would love, would be to have a relationship like Hezbollah had with the Lebanese government, where you have an official government that says, oh, we want peace or whatever, and da 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 da. But behind the scenes, you have a terrorist organization that really runs the show, and they have all the guns, and they do whatever the hell they want. And whenever the international community comes at them, they would say, we didn't do that. That's that terrorist organization. It's almost like the having it both ways. So the Israelis know that that's what the Hamas guys want. They also know that they're not going to just voluntarily disarm. So what are they going to do? The Israelis have this yellow line thing. So the guy that I'm talking about that said that, this is all coming from a guy named Ari Shavit. Wise man. And basically what he was saying is that the Israelis they pulled back and they control, I think, 55% of Gaza right now. Their plan is to rebuild the part that they're holding on to now because they're never going to make it to phase 2. And in phase 1 part that Israel controls, they're not going to pull out of the rest of Gaza. They're going to start rebuilding that area. And then it's going to become like East and West Berlin. Do you want to live under Hamas? Stay where you are. You want to come to peace and prosperity? Come to this side. And they'll still do raids. They'll still fight with the Hamas guys. They'll still kill them in Gaza City and all of that. But there's going to be this other area that's a safe zone that's being rebuilt. And then we know how East and West Berlin worked. There was one side that was wealthy and prosperous. And there was the other side that was controlled by the Russians, which was just a hellhole. You had to wait online to get bread and forget about getting any meat. So I think that's where we're headed. It made the most sense. It resonated with me. It made a lot of sense what this guy was
Because
saying.
I think one of the things people are really having, and I discussed this yesterday after you had left the show, I think, but I think this is the hardest thing people are trying to understand right now is what is the actual plan? Because obviously we know Hamas is never going to live up to their part of the agreement. We know that. I mean, it's just not who they are. They're animals or killers. If you could rape a baby and burn a baby, and I know people are like, oh, they didn't burn any babies. Yeah, they burned babies. And if you could do those things, you can't actually have a lucid conversation with anybody that's willing to do that. And you can't have a lucid, something we don't talk about enough is this. It's not just that they don't recognize a Jewish state, they don't recognize Jewish people.
Not
Understand
just
that.
Jewish people.
Well,
It's
no. In this
every
case,
faith.
they want to kill everybody. That we're all infidels. That's just a fact. Christians, it doesn't matter who you are. You're on the line. It's like anybody that says, like Dave Smith. No matter how much talking you do, you were on Hitler's hit list, okay? No matter how much you want to. So yes, we're all on Hamas's and Islamic radical Islam's hit list. We are. But the one thing that nobody ever just brings up is they can't even say we're human. So there's no dialogue with somebody that refuses to admit you're human.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, we've talked about this, the old John Kerry meme where they go, "We want you all dead." And John Kerry turns to the Israelis and says, "Could you at least meet them halfway?" Like,
That's
it's the reality. One of my favorite memes out there is you get what you effing deserve. And it's just this thing that says, hey, you get what you deserve. And starting this war and brutally murdering all those people, you get what you deserve. And to all the woke people out there that defend them, we know who you are. That's it. We
yeah.
don't need you to change. We're not even trying to convince you that of to think any different way. If that's where you stand, you are so morally bankrupt. We don't need to fix you. We just need to know who you are.
I love that. I absolutely love that, and I think that's a perfect way to end the show. Golan, we miss you. Please be safe, and I hope this pilot you're working on goes amazing. I mean, I don't really think people realize how big of a deal that is. To be able to shoot a television pilot is massive. And I could not be prouder of Golan for being able to put it together. He put the project together. That's what he does. He's a producer. And good on you, Golan. We love you. And I love the way Men just said that because we know who you are. And yeah, it's like, so your flags will be, you're going to hide the kafias for a few days and figure out the next way to fight your propaganda war. But the flags will be back out pretty soon. We'll see you again. And Mend, you did awesome today. CrossFit did wonders for your rapid pace.
My heart is still going.
Yeah, I could tell. You know what? It's cool. You know what? You're allowed. And I want to thank everybody that's been helping us with the show and everybody that helps. Just everybody. I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And you could always find us everywhere at thedailycheatsheet.com. That's thedailycheatsheet.com. I want to wish everybody a good morning and afternoon and night world, wherever you are. God bless you all.
Golan is missed.